everyone. My name is Burton, and this is another episode of PropStream Pros. And today with me, I have a really special guest. I met her a few years back. She was heavily involved in real estate, still is today. Has an amazing story that I think can inspire you listening now and those that will come across this episode in the future. So if you could please help me give a big warm welcome to my special guest, Ayla Melendez. Is that correct, Ayla? Am I pronouncing your name right?
Yep, perfect.
Beautiful name. How are you doing today, by the way?
I'm doing great. It's almost cool weather in Texas, so every day I wake up excited. It's still 90 degrees in the fall, but I know it's still hot. I'm waiting for fall weather.
That's fine. I've been to Texas a few times, hence that's how we've met.
Yep.
Very humid there. So yes, it gets hot. And I think for me, what really just weighs down on me is the humidity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind sharing, I know where you're from, but what part of Texas are you from?
I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and I think it's actually kind of central to everything. I've been here most of my life. So born in St. Louis, 3 weeks later, went to St. Robert. Been in St. Robert for maybe 12 years, then been to San Antonio since then. So most of my life.
I love that.
Yep.
And so I take it your real estate business portfolio is obviously in Texas. Have you expanded out of Texas, or is it right now just concentrated in Texas in the San Antonio market?
Just in San Antonio, Texas for now.
That's awesome. Well, again, I met you through real estate, but I'm here to kind of figure out the story behind who you are as an individual. So how long have you been involved in real estate?
Actually for 6 years now. So started in 2019.
That's awesome. So you started 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come across real estate? Was it intentional, by happenstance, by accident? Did you walk into a room full of people talking about it? Like, how did you go from what you were doing before to real estate?
Okay, so in 2018, I purchased my homestead, and I really loved my realtor at the time. She had even told me, she was like, I'm going to be like a second mom to you. And she held my hand throughout the entire process. And I kind of just fell in love with how she helped me. And then my lender, he actually gave me the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, as all of us started with. So he gave me that book.
Shout out to Robert Kiyosaki.
I know. Everyone in real estate
powerful.
has read that book. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay, you got your first homestead in 2018. You fell in love with your realtor and her services. Lender hooks you up with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Tell me more.
Yep. So once he gave me that book, I read it. And I'll be honest, I never in life have been like a reader. I have like ADHD with reading things sometimes, never remember anything. But he gave me the book and I started reading it, and it genuinely did change my mindset. And at that time, I was working a 9 to 5, which is Medtronic. So I was working there at that time. And then a year later, which was 2019, that's whenever I was still working my 9 to 5. And then I was like, you know what, let me start taking real estate classes, because it was a situation to where you don't know what you don't know. So I thought the only way to get into real estate was to take the courses to become a real estate agent. And as I was taking those classes, I was working full time, taking those classes at night. And then I was also meal prepping for people on the side. And I came across someone. And I came across someone that put me in contact with someone to meal prep for them. And they were in real estate, and I was meal prepping for a few people in real estate before I actually jumped in, and they kind of showed me to the investment side and wholesaling. So that's kind of how I made that switch.
That is pretty awesome. It all like kind of just it sounds like a whirlwind, but it was an organized one, right? You're working your 9 to 5, you have your side hustle meal prepping for individuals out there, and one of them happens to be involved with real estate, and then the dots are connected. You know, I have a firm belief that and again, this is just me. I have a firm belief everybody that I've ever met in real estate investing didn't choose to get into real estate. Like they were kind of led to it through their life experiences. And it's kind of cool to hear about that. So 9 to 5, you're meal prepping, real estate, you go, What do you learn? Well, actually, let me take it back to the book first, because Rich Dad Poor Dad is a really, really popular book. There are probably people out there that have either read it, haven't read it. I just have one question about that. What was a big takeaway that you got from that book?
Well, it was the fact that myself and everyone in my immediate family, no one was an entrepreneur. Everyone worked 9 to 5, mostly even like computer jobs. So whenever I read the book, it just opened my mind to where it's like, hey, instead of time for money, it's like money for results. So it just changed my perspective of making money. It's like I've always done like little side hustles and things, but I've always had the safety net of just hourly wage and a steady job, and reading that book just opened my mind to it. So I was like, you know what? I got to be a real estate agent. As that's all I knew. So the book just opened my mind to different ways of making money from his experience.
So my biggest question, I want to lead up to this too. So you're doing your 9 to 5. You buy your homestead. You're introduced to a realtor, a lender. You get this book. It changes your mindset about entrepreneurship. Um, when you started attending those real estate courses or classes or meetups, if you will, um, what did you learn from it? And then when did you finally take your first move towards actually being an investor? And then I want to kind of, we'll expand on that. So like, what did you take? What were your big takeaways from those courses or meetups that you went to?
So I was still taking the real estate courses whenever I was working for my 9 to 5, and that was like in July of 2019, and I believe that's whenever I actually finished them. So I ended up quitting my job in September of 2019, shortly after, and I took it. I pretty much quit my job from the leap of faith of meeting a wholesaler, and they were like, "Hey, you don't need to be licensed," and I do this already, and he worked for a company. So I kind of just believed and trusted him as to why I took that faith, because I finished all the courses, took the test, and then I failed, and I just didn't take it again.
Okay, hold on. Let's backtrack
I'm not a
here.
great test taker.
So, no, you and me both. Dude, I'm like you. I'm looking in the mirror right now, but in a sense, right? Because like I'm bad at test taking. I'm very poor at that. But I love this. Let's talk about this. So you go in 9 to 5, right? You're doing your 9 to 5. You take courses. I assume you're taking courses to be a real estate agent. Is that correct? It sounds like
Correct.
it.
Yep.
Okay, so you're taking your courses. You complete your courses because now your next step is to take the test, the state
Mm-hmm.
test. Um, Thanks for sharing. It looks like it didn't pan out, but you encountered a wholesaler. That wholesaler told you that's not necessary.
Yeah.
Let's take this route. So it sounds like you started heading that route. Is that correct?
Yep. It was, and the only reason I took those courses is because it's like, you don't know what you don't know. Anytime I even like briefly tell someone, oh, I'm in real estate, their first mindset is, oh, you're a realtor. And it's like, that was my mindset before I got into real estate and saw all the options. So I don't blame anybody for thinks that everybody in real
I
estate is a
am
realtor.
guilty of that. I remember when I first started with PropStream and people were like, "Oh, we work with investors," and I'm like, "What does that mean?" I'm like, "Oh, well, they buy our data and they buy the houses from homeowners." I'm like, "Well, what about the realtor?" And they're like, "No, realtors are involved." And I'm like, "You
Yeah.
you can't do that."
Mm-hmm.
I was such a novice to understanding that there. Well, now I know, but now there's like thousands, or not thousands, but dozens of real estate strategies out there that don't require a realtor. So it's funny that you say that because I think several people are under that misconception that, hey, if you want to be in real estate, I'll be honest with you, I think one of the misconceptions is you should start with a license, right? Which is
Yep.
not true. And another misconception I hear all the time is you have to have money. You have to have money to get started in this. And the reason I bring that up because I think it ties to what you said, that you started wholesaling, which, correct me if I'm wrong, does require some money, right? The marketing and whatnot, but very low barrier of entry in terms of getting into real estate, but with a high reward. Because I've seen people literally make earn their financial freedom through just wholesaling as a strategy. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for sharing that. I just wanted to just tie that. So okay,
Yep.
you meet this wholesaler,
Mm-hmm.
you're convinced in a good way that okay, I'm gonna take this route.
Yep.
Um, what did you learn from this individual, and after learning what you learned, when did you start applying that?
Um, I learned that I learned a lot based on your reputation is everything. He worked for a really good company, and also with wholesaling, you really can start with no money if you do join like a wholesale company. So he worked for a wholesale
Mm.
company, and they had a good reputation because it was owned by two investors. They did everything like the ethical way. And it's like me working a 9 to 5. I've never worked in sales. Like, I think a side hustle is just like, oh, I enjoy it, might as well make money. But I learned good ethics from him, a reputation, and building relationships, because working in a 9 to 5, it's like I clock out. I'm like, I don't see these people again. You're not going to be on my social media. Like, I'm just here to get a check. And then transitioning into real estate, it's like, no, you have to talk to these people. You have to network. And that's so the opposite of my personality. But I
Oh,
learned,
really?
yeah. Everyone
Okay.
thinks
Well,
I'm an
let's.
extrovert just because I'm a chatty person. And I'm like, nope, I still like to be by myself. Yeah.
I love that. So you just know how to turn on and off the switch, right?
Hmm.
Smart. That's a skill set in itself, I think, and I'm guilty of that because of the many times I go out. Again, I socialize, but my social tank can empty real quick, and then
Yeah.
that's when get back to the room and be
Yeah.
by yourself for a while. That's really cool.
And then you're the face of such a popular company, and you can't hide. You're the
You know what's
PropStream guy.
funny? It's so funny that you said that. I never look at it that way. Like and you know me. Every time people say, "Oh, you're the face," I'm like, "Oh, I'm just a normal guy." Um, I used to think when I go out there that, like, I'm still working. I am, right? So go to the booth, I do my thing, and then, like, when the event's over, that's it. Like, I'm just a normal person. And
Mhm.
so funny that you said that. I had to learn the hard way. I remember event is over. I'm walking to the elevator, and my body language is reading exhausted, tired. Don't talk to me. I've learned now, don't do that until you actually are in your room,
Mhm.
because lo and behold, tons of users came through, and people that knew me, like, walked into the elevator, and they just read the vibe. They were like, "Is everything okay?" So I've learned now, keep it going until the very moment you're in, and then shut it down. So it's funny
Yeah.
that you said that. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
All right, so learn from the wholesaler. Learn that credibility is very, very important.
Mhm.
I agree with that. I think, understanding that your brand, your reputation, plays a vital, vital role in that. Um, when did you do your first deal?
Let's see. I quit my job. I think it might have been like September 21st. And then I was wholesaling independently, just random. Like, I didn't know what I was doing when I quit my job and tried to wholesale by myself, but it was only like for 3 weeks. And before I actually joined a company. So whenever I joined a company, I actually contracted my first deal within like 23 days, which was like the quickest within their company. And I was only with that company for like 6 weeks. So, but it
That's
took me pretty much
awesome.
3 weeks of consistency for me to contract my first deal. And it was like a commercial building on the west side.
Nice. Well, when you say consistency, what do you mean by that? Consistent in showing up to the office every day, or
Mhm.
can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yep. Because when I worked for an office, I was doing that, a little over 40 hours a week. But whenever I quit my job and then was trying to wholesale independently, I was doing it so lost because there wasn't many like YouTube videos. And I don't know what I was doing. I'm manually making the calls from my phone and calling people. And I'm just like doing more talking than like negotiating. I don't know what I was doing, but it was like
Mm.
inconsistent for 3 weeks. I just didn't know what I was doing. I was at home by myself, and I just didn't know what I was doing. And the person that got me into wholesaling, he worked for a company. So he didn't have much time to like hold my hand. So I had like a script, but I just didn't know what I was doing for 3 weeks. And
I
I knew
love that. So you didn't know what you were doing because you tried to do it yourself,
it.
but
Hmm.
then going into this company gave you that structure, gave you that knowledge to, okay, this is how it should be done from beginning to very end.
Yeah.
And then you finally got your deal done within like 6 weeks of joining them. That's so awesome, actually. Do you recall the situation that deal that house was involved in? Was it like a a foreclosure? Was it a bankruptcy? I'm not sure if you like, because you remembered when you quit. You're like September 21st. So,
The
which,
scariest
no,
part of quitting my job was just sending the resignation letter. Like this, and once I
well,
sent it, I was like, "Oh, what's done is
you
done."
should remember that day because that's a day that changed probably the trajectory of your entire life. So that's a good day to remember. But do you also remember like that first deal? I don't know if maybe that first deal, the situation, everything involved in it. Like, do you recall what it was?
Yeah. I remember it was like a Friday because I got it contracted within like 23 days of working at that company. And it was a commercial property that was on the west side. I don't know if it was a garage or something abandoned. And it was like an older man. And it was just the fact like, naturally they teach you single family and residential. So you learn like that contract and things. But this one was commercial. So I didn't know what I was doing when I went out there and I met the guy at Bill Miller. And I kind of, for like a few minutes of that phone call, I had my team on there because they were like drinking and eating pizza back at the office. And I had them on the phone and I was like, hey, I didn't know anything about the contract. So I'm like kind of learning it as I'm talking to the guy. And he's just telling me like Laffy Taffy jokes and knock knock jokes the whole time. And I'm just like laughing and we figured out the contract. It wasn't a pre foreclosure or anything like that. He owned the property. So I don't, I honestly don't know how I got it contracted. I sat at Bill Miller with him for like 2 hours because I just didn't know the contract and he ended up signing it. So,
Hey, that's all it takes sometimes is just being there, right? Being present, going out there, putting yourself out there and, let the universe, the forces of the universe do its thing. That's really cool. I actually like that. So that happens. I take it that was in 2019. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then here we are 6 years later.
Yep.
That's awesome. So what is it about real estate that has kept you in it for all this time?
The fact that you'll never know everything. It's like, it's such a limitless industry. I come from a passion of education, even though I have never been the best at taking tests. Because I'll get like test anxiety. I absolutely love learning and doing new things. And real estate is like the perfect industry to where you'll never know everything. Things change all the time. You can do the exact same situation, like, oh, this is a foreclosure. You deal with another foreclosure, and every single situation is different, every single deal. So you never get bored and you'll never stop learning. So it's like you don't get bored in real estate.
I love that. Has that always been a part of you? I just love learning. Like if I take you back to your grade school, and we're just the ghosts of Christmas, let's say, we're just watching. Was that how you were as a child? Were you always so curious, always willing to just absorb information?
I've always loved to learn, but I like to learn purposeful things. So I didn't like school too much. Like I wasn't like a bad kid. I always showed up, always did my work. But it's like me learning history doesn't really do anything. Me learning math doesn't really do anything. But if I learn like a random fun fact or I learned how to do something new or a life skill or something, that's what I've always loved about it. So
I
not
like
so much
that.
grade school, but and even like if teachers paid more and I was good at taking tests, I definitely would have taken the route of becoming a teacher.
Oh, I love that. So there is a part of you that likes teaching and
Mhm.
helping a little bit. So it's not just absorbing information. There's a part of you that likes also um, providing that information out to the public. I like that. Were you also an introvert when you were in like grade school, middle school, high school?
I think I was. I did love playing sports, but just like I would
Hmm.
never be like the loud person in the class or anything. Like I've always been silly or goofy, but I'm just like keep to myself. Like I'm always around one person, maybe two. I wouldn't be like the center of attention or anything along those lines. So I guess I've
That's
always been introverted, I think.
in a sense, right? Yeah. Well, again, I think you, in a sense, are saying that you know how to balance it, where you're not the class clown, but you're clearly not, the bottom of the barrel. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way. You just kind of stayed in your lane, and here we are today. I like that. What sport did you play when you were in high school?
Whenever, let's see, ninth grade, I was ninth grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade, I was varsity track. And then 10th grade, I was like varsity volleyball. And I think, oh, I played basketball for like a month or two, but I hated basketball. I just played because like the coach made me. It was only like 5 people on the team. So I would
Oh,
recommend.
and if you're in varsity track freshman year, I mean, your coach probably saw an athletic ability and was like, I got to get her on our team. We're going to get some W's this season. That's so cool. And so what did you do for track? Were you more of a runner or more of like a gymnast?
I ran the 200 and the 400. And I feel like even like in sports wise, like I love track because it's like such an independent sport. Like I don't really have to like depend on other people. And, you know, if they're slow, I'm going to end up slow. Like, so I just love track because it's like, if I win, it's because like I won. So.
I love that. Do you still follow the sport today? Do you still watch track on television or like the Summer Olympics or anything like that?
Yes, I love the Olympic track and field, but me myself, I don't run whatsoever. So
Not anymore.
no, I haven't ran in a long like years. So, but I do love
That's
to watch
really
it. Track and
cool.
field. Yeah.
Okay, so and I like this. So you again, I think what I'm kind of reading in between is that you've always had this ability of just balancing. You can go introvert, you can go here. It's almost like you were always right smack in the middle. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but in a good way. Like you just knew, okay, if I need to exert this energy or that energy, I have the ability to do that. That's awesome. So okay, so and you grew up in San Antonio, I take it, correct?
Yeah, I've been here most of my life.
Okay. This is where I'd like to kind of try to make a connection. So, if you can remember, grade school, middle school, high school, maybe even after a little bit of high school,
Mhm.
did you ever think about real estate being a part of your life?
Oh no, not at all. And then especially
Not
since
at
like the
all.
majority of my family and everyone was like renting, everyone was like in apartments, so it just never crossed my mind because it was nowhere in my environment. So not at all.
I like asking that question because the same thing, and I've discovered that a lot of people too that I encounter in this space, um, right off the, it's like no one it's not like a career option. Does that make sense? Like, I don't see young kids saying, "Oh, I want to be a real estate investor, astronaut, police officer, fireman, tons of other options, right? Video gamer designer. I mean, what's the new thing now? Want to be an influencer that these kids are
Oh, there
saying?
you
So,
go. Yep.
right. So,
Yep.
but
That's every
real estate
kid's goal.
investor,
Yep.
yeah, real estate professional. That's the last thing on any child's mind. So, I wanted to ask that question because again, it leads to my opinion of like people come into this
Mm-hmm.
industry by happenstance, but
Mm-hmm.
what they've learned, what they've gone through,
Yep.
does help them
Mm-hmm.
here. So, okay, gone through your early childhood. We understand you a little bit. You're good at balancing, the energy in terms of who you need to be when you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
You got your first deal in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2025. You've been at this for a while now. You love real estate because of its limitless in terms of it's never ending left and rights,
Growth and
right?
education, pretty much. Yep.
I love that. Out of everything you've learned so far, Ayla, what would you say is your favorite real estate strategy? Because, like you said, there's a lot. And
Mhm.
so, what's your favorite real estate strategy? And then, besides the limitless part, is there something about because you sound like you love to help people. You
Mhm.
sound like again, you said it earlier. You like to share information.
Mhm.
Is there something about helping people too that you like?
Um, well, I've always been kind of like a slow learner, meaning like you have to break things down in like SOP form to teach me. And I think me being a slow learner taught me, well, naturally to be good, like good at educating. But I've always been the type of person like if I know how to do anything, I'll teach anybody anything. I just like teaching people things. I think like the highest level of a compliment is when someone can say, "Oh, Ayla taught me how to do that," because like I teach people in a way to where you don't just learn like what I'm saying, you know how to bridge the gap and know how to do it. Because many people will like be an influencer and they'll tell you, oh, you can wholesale this house with just $1. it's like, that's a cool punchline. And then people would make like a 30-second video, but I bridge the gap on what you need to do and how you do it. And I also teach what like you're not supposed to do, because um, I think mistakes in real estate are extremely expensive. So I've always been the type to where if I work with someone, I'll take a pay cut for education. I'll pay for someone else's experience. Like, I've never been the type to where like, oh, you got to start from the bottom. It's like, no, I want to work with someone skilled and experienced, and I want to learn from you and ask questions. And that's why I just tell anybody, if I've ever done anything, I can teach it really well, and I can break it down. Like, the way I teach is literally like Chat GPT. Like,
I love that. And you said something that just sent shivers down my spine, but you said mistakes in real estate are what?
expensive.
That is a very powerful statement. I think that's something that people don't realize. And so, man, okay, yeah, I love this. I really love where this is at. Do you see yourself, because you did mention potentially being a teacher, right? That could have been an alternative. Maybe there is an alternative reality where you are, professor. Do you ever see yourself maybe educating people in real estate, or are you doing that now?
I'm not doing it now, and I don't think I've ever like taken the time for me to just do mentorship. However, if I have worked with a company, I've always taken like a leadership role to where I'm always the one to teach new people and do things like that and share notes. Like, I'm like the queen of notes. I'll write notes and post it. Like, I'm such a how-to person, and naturally. So I just share it usually like for free and tell people for free. If I make a video, I'm like showing you step by step. Like, I just do it for free. I've never taken the time and dedication to be like, oh, give me $5,000 and I'll do it. I just tell people for free.
That's so awesome and generous of you. I'm going to address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
I'm happy we met, and I know that we met because of PropStream, and this is why I love working for PropStream. I mean, all sorts of different people, love their backstory, love what they evolved into, and so you knew me because of our brand. How are you familiar with PropStream? Did you use PropStream, or do you use PropStream in your real estate business? And I don't want this to be like you're trying to pitch anything. I don't. I'm more curious as to like, how did you figure out, like, how did you know about us? And then if you do use PropStream, I'm curious, how do you apply it to your real estate business?
I found out about PropStream because of the wholesale company I was working with. It was one of the tools that they set us up to use. I wasn't licensed, and just running comps on it is super user friendly. It was something to where I didn't have to watch a video or anything along those lines. So that's the main reason of why I used it. Today, I just use like a friend's MLS access, which you shouldn't do. However, I always recommend, hey, get PropStream if you want to run comps or pull a list, because it's super like user friendly. It's not.
And
It's
that
not hard
makes
to learn.
sense
You don't
too,
need it.
especially if, like you said, if you don't have access to the MLS through a licensed friend, or you don't have it licensed. It does make sense that you were utilizing PropStream because, correct me if I'm wrong, Texas is a non-disclosure state, so the need of having MLS data, which we have, was important at the time for you guys, right, in that business.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to know, because I remember when we first met, you're like, Burton from PropStream. I was like, what? How do we? But I'm so happy that for that very moment, Ayla, you weren't an introvert, right? You were the extrovert, and you reached out, because here we are today having this amazing conversation. And thank you for sharing your story with us. So, okay, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Are you still in real estate? Maybe are you now a mentor? I'm just curious. Like, do you already have a plan, or do you have a gut feeling on where you're going to be in 5 years?
Mentorship is not off the table. I've just never taken the leap to actually do it, because again, it's always like someone to call me for a question, and I'll tell them, or I'll post a video and it actually helps someone. So it's not off the table. I've just never taken the leap of doing it, because I feel like whenever you genuinely do love something, you don't always do it for money. So again, it's not off the table. Like, you know how people always say, oh, if you do what you love, it'll never feel like work. I don't believe that at all. I genuinely love cooking, and I had a meal prep business for 2 years, and it made me hate cooking. The fact that I was doing it for money made me not want to do it for fun. So now I love cooking again, but I don't want to hate teaching, and I don't want. So I'm like, I don't know.
My first job was in the food industry, and I agree with you. It's rough. It's and I can totally see how it could burn your passion, especially because you were doing it for other people too, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, that could definitely do that. Well, you know what? Actually, I want to talk about that. So you're not just a real estate professional who's doing, you're doing your thing and you're helping people out there and building your portfolio. You like cooking. That's awesome. Has that been a thing? Like, have you always loved cooking?
I started cooking at like 19, which I feel like is kind of late. Like my mom could always cook, my dad could always cook, but I was always a picky eater. So no one taught me how to cook. I just started learning at 19. Like I'm telling you, and like I ate the most basic foods ever, and I'm still kind of picky, but I can cook a wider variety of things, especially since meal prepping. I'm making healthier versions of so many things, trying a whole bunch of foods that I probably never would have tried. So I just love cooking just because I'm so picky. I'd rather just cook it myself. And it's almost like
I
a form
love
of
that.
art almost.
Would you say you're much better of a cook now compared to when you were 19 years old?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then there's so many videos and recipes these days. It's like, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, no, you know what? It's funny that you said that. I'm laughing that you said it's, maybe it's too late to learn. I just started trying to learn how to cook like elegant meals. And shout outs to a friend, Shanae. She has taught me how to make salmon Wellington and chicken marsala and a few other plates, right? So now to your point, like I'm like, whoa, this is fun. I've always been a fast food kid, so you can only imagine. But I got that bug that you probably have now. So I'm curious. Let me ask you this: let's say the president showed up at your place, or someone very important or of like high value. Let's say Burton is there. What's your what's your okay? This is my best meal possible. Like, what would be that dish?
Well, I would, as the first meal that I make someone, it's never anything fancy. It's always something comforting. And me living in Texas, I feel like chili is really big, but me being from like Missouri, I love biscuits and gravy, the white gravy with sausage, or chili and cornbread. So I make chili and cornbread as like my first meal for like a lot of people. I'd rather make them something comforting versus something like fancy.
Oh, I like that. You're trying to put people to sleep after they eat. I love that.
Like once you got the itis, I think it's an indication it was good.
When you said white gravy, I was like country fried steak.
Oh, there you go. It kind of is like that. Have you had biscuits and gravy with the sausage in it?
No, I can't say I have. I'm sure I may have come across it at a breakfast at one of the hotels there, but I'm sure it's not equivalent to how you would craft it, how you would prep it. So hopefully one day I become a person of high value so I can be presented that dish from you.
I love making it for people. I'm telling you, everywhere I've worked, people have always ate it because I just give it to people for free.
That's so cool. So, okay, so 5 years from now, the possibility of mentorship is not out of the picture.
It's not a no, but 5 years. I definitely.
Well, what about?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What was that, Ayla?
Within 5 years, I definitely want to be financially free through real estate because I don't think I will ever not be in real estate, no matter what avenue. Within 6 years, I've done like a lot of random things in real estate, but it's like I never left real estate. It's just like it wasn't only wholesaling or only investing. So. And then everything, I feel like every avenue you do in real estate helps you become a better investor or someone to actually purchase or sell a house whenever you do different lanes within real estate. So everything I've done has helped me myself and pretty good at.
I like that. So like pretty much if I'm reading in between the lines, because of the limitless of things that could happen in real estate, right? All the different changes, all the different situations, no two situation, even though it's a pre-foreclosure, could be the same. Yep. All those experiences and all those deals that you've done have only bettered you as a real estate professional, because now you're essentially more equipped Even though, again, no two experiences are the same, you're more comfortable knowing, hey, I've done the unknown before. I can continue to do the unknown today. Is that correct?
Yep. Yes, it is.
That's awesome. And so you said that in the future you look to achieve financial freedom. Do you believe real estate investing is going to be that vehicle to help you with that?
Yes. And if anything outside of that, I think I would rather sell like a course versus mentoring someone one on one. So passive income through that would also be an open idea as well.
Oh, I like that. So you're looking to just, I'd rather help a lot versus, not that one is not bad, but I like that. Let me just try to
Yeah.
help as many people as possible. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing all this. And I've learned a lot today than ever before. So selfishly, this is actually really cool. And I just appreciate you just being open today.
Absolutely.
I have a few more questions for you, and then I know you're a busy gal, so I'll let you do your thing. Um, but everything that you've shared so far, and this one's a tricky question, so feel free to skip it if you'd like. But let's say you had a time machine. Would you ever go back and change any of it?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think I would change anything. The only thing I would change is I wish I got into real estate sooner, but I wouldn't change anything because I've honestly done non QM lending, so loans. I've been an investor, a wholesaler. I had all the education of a realtor, just never passed to get the test. I was a licensed and bonded general contractor. So it's like all of those things helped me along the way, but I tried it to see if I liked it and still always had the focus of investing in wholesaling. So all the other random things I did was like, it didn't work, but I had the experience and now I know. But I
I
wouldn't
love
change anything.
that. So would it change anything except if I could only know about real estate much sooner? That's crazy. And we just said that real estate wasn't even on your mind in grade school, middle school, or high school. But oh man, that's very valuable. A lot of people I talk to in my times out there in the field or at events um, have eerily said the same thing. Like, if only I knew much sooner about this real estate stuff, and that's really, really
It's
cool.
one of
Okay,
those
so
things where it's like, man, if I knew then what I know now. So it's like, I wish I would have got a jump start because now it's like everybody knows about wholesaling, everybody. And it's like the power of the internet is so influential. It's like, it's not hard to learn how to do many things or at least spark interest to do something and then dive deeper. But whenever I did it, it was just kind of like I stumbled into it and all I knew was like just people that were just wholesaling around me. It wasn't like so like today you can be like, I was just scrolling on TikTok and I saw someone talking about wholesaling. Like I didn't come across it like that whatsoever.
no, I completely agree. When we had this little CD over here back in the day, but again, I came into it not knowing that you can do all these different strategies, and then fast forward it over a decade later, it's like, whoa, this is actually a really cool business, and the people I get to meet along the way. Um, what do you want to be known for when it's all said and done? When the day comes that you're like, all right, I'm hanging up the keys. What do you want to be known for?
I want to be known for having a great reputation because I'm very big on transparency. There's times where I've lost deals to where it's like, hey, just to be honest, I have it contracted at this. Can you do it? Like, because I'm like, I don't come from a sales background. I come from a
Oh,
customer service
love that.
background. So I'm always just leading with transparent. I'm like, look, I know I can communicate well. I know I have accountability. Like I'm the person to where I'm probably the only person in today's world to where I'm like, hey, I'm going to give you a phone call at 2:00 tomorrow. I'm actually going to, even if it's a family member, like when I say I'm going to call someone back, I actually call them back. So I just want to be known for having a good reputation and just always willing to help or teach or giving a resource. So those two things.
I love that answer. I absolutely love that answer. Again, another misconception is that you have to be salesy
Yeah.
to be part of this industry. And no, you just said it yourself. As long as you come from a service standpoint, you can definitely do this.
Yep.
Man, Man, okay, these are some
That's
good
a big
answers.
thing, honestly, because like there's not many people. Like a lot of people think that real estate is the same harsh sales as like a car salesman, and it's not. Sometimes you might come across like a wholesaler with like car sales background, but even whenever you're like a real estate agent, you have like a fiduciary duty to where you can't just push a sale and make someone buy a house. So I just want to let people know that you don't always need sales skills. You need to be able to keep your word, be transparent, and build a relationship, because that'll take you further than you just being salesy all the time or being good at marketing.
That's very valuable information, and thank you for sharing that. I think people need to hear more of that. Again, this is a people business, in my opinion. I mean, you're dealing with homeowners. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You're the one out in the field, but you're dealing with homeowners that are pretty much very vulnerable. They're at the probably the last part of their home ownership.
Yep.
And yeah, or they're dealing with the loss of a family member, or
Yeah.
just a tough situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the last thing they need is someone coming up to them salesy. So thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm. Selling your house is like the
question.
biggest decision that most people go through like in their lifetime. So it's like sometimes you only have one thing, and of course you'll come across people to where they're full of pride. There are many people to where it's like you can tell them, hey, I can save you from foreclosure. I can save your credit for the next 7 years. But you might just walk away with like a couple $1,000s. Like, no, people would literally keep their pride and be like, oh, if I can't get 10, it's like they haven't paid their mortgage in like a couple of years and they don't want to walk away free and clear. It's like pride. They will ruin their credit. So it's a lot. Like it really is like a pride thing. So you have to be able to sometimes turn off skills and just like be able to connect with someone and make them feel safe.
That's so important that you said that, because again, sometimes people need to know you're a human being.
Yeah.
In order to be open for them to accept your service. That's so true. I find myself doing that in today's world. You're fed so much things today, don't know what's factual, what's not factual. And I think that kind of builds a defense mechanism in a lot of us. Mm-hmm. And so I find myself when I go to like a store or whatever, I doubt things. I'm like, is that really that, and shout outs to my stepfather. He's no longer with us, but he really said the same thing that you're literally saying. And I love this, which is that when you're dealing with people, there's two ways to deal with them. One, you can stand in front of them and talk to them, or you can stand side by side and talk to them.
Yes.
And that's what you're leading on. And I love that. I really love that message. So appreciate you sharing that.
I promise you, like, it's the biggest transaction of people's life. It's the biggest decision. A lot of people have sentimental value. So whenever you're just putting numbers and doing sales, it's like the house means a lot. You don't know how hard someone worked to save up, or the memories they had in a home, and now they're in a situation and they have to get rid of it. Like no amount of money can, really just compare to you're getting rid of something full of memories. And then, most of the time when someone's buying a house, they're not keeping it the same color, not even like the same layout. So not only are you getting rid of it, no one is honoring the state that it was in. So it's just a lot for someone emotionally.
I don't think a lot of people even think about what you just said. Yeah. That is so true, because it's funny. I drive by my old neighborhood and I see the old house I grew up in, and it doesn't look the same. And there's that, I wish my parents never got rid of it feeling, Oh man, I never really thought deeply on that. So I love that you understand. I really love that you understand that, Ayla, and you come with that into your conversation, knowing that this is what you're going to, this is what you're letting go. Crazy. If you don't mind sharing, and because you've dealt with a lot of situations, a lot of tough situations when it comes to these homeowners. And again, I don't know whether you want to share this or not, but do you recall a moment where a homeowner was very, very thankful of what you did for them? And do you recall what the situation was? I mean, you don't have to elaborate too much. I just want to make sure that their privacy is intact. But do you recall, like, if you could summarize what the situation was, and then what were they grateful for in terms of what you did for them?
It was a situation to where the company I worked for, um, the the house that we were dealing with, I guess the company owner, his friend lived in front of that house, so that's how the referral came about. But it was a situation to where this older couple had lost their only child, and I just went through the process with them of pretty much selling their house. They had no will, and it was just a messy situation because for the most part, it's when you're in the investment side of real estate, you're dealing with older homes and things. So not everyone sets up a will, or they don't set up things for after death. So it was just a very vulnerable situation that an older couple lost their only child. Like the fact that they were older and they lost him. And even within, right after the sale, the husband had lost his wife. And I still talk to him like till this day. He moved out about an hour outside of San Antonio, but it was just the fact that, I witnessed, they just lost their son, and then me keeping in contact with him for like 5 years now, he lost his wife too. So it was just, he was experiencing a lot of losses at an older age. And it was no pre-foreclosure or anything like that. It was just the loss of family members, which I can relate to. Within my career of real estate, I actually lost both of my parents within like 1 year. So that was after the situation, but it's like I could completely understand like what that felt like.
Condolences, but thanks for sharing that. And it's amazing that you're still intact or in communication with them. I think that in itself is a sign of that gratitude. I'm a firm believer you don't give your time easily to anybody unless you really feel that this person deserves your quality time.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he's still allowing that friendship to be there, even after going through that, the loss of his child, the loss of his wife, to know that he still has you there as a friend. Oh man, that's amazing. You're doing an amazing thing for this person. I just want to let you know. I want to give you your flowers. Absolutely. I guess where I want to end this off with, because I know we're kind of at the 1 hour mark, and you got homeowners that you got to help. One of the things that I've learned, especially doing social media and marketing and all this, is that we leave a digital footprint behind, and when we say digital footprint, we tend to think of it as a bad thing, right? Like, don't do anything bad and record it because it could bite you in the butt later on. And I agree with that. Like, don't do anything you're not supposed to be doing because it could come back at you. But it also could be a good thing. I think that, we can look back at the things that we put out there and say, hey, that was a moment in my life that I was going through or that I went through, and go from there. So with that said, let's assume this episode is out there and time travels a little bit forward. Let's say 20 years. What would you like to tell yourself in 20 years from now?
You stayed consistent no matter what happened in your life.
I
think that's the biggest thing, because a lot of people fall out of real estate not just because of money, but personal reasons as well. So the fact that I keep staying and I keep showing up, I feel like I owe it to myself. So.
Okay, so that's the message for your future self when you see this in 20 years.
Stay
now, let's talk about friends and loved ones. So any friends, family members that will see this in 20 years, what's a message that you'd like to have for them when they're staring at this recording 20 years from now?
Jump into real estate as soon as you see this video, because my only regret is not jumping in sooner. I don't care what you do in real estate. It's going to lead to you being an investor. Realistically, this day, everyone wants to be an investor because it makes more sense. So jump into real estate. If you see this, jump into it. There's an avenue for everyone. I'm such a 9-to-5 desktop working girl, and I found a way in an avenue in real estate. So jump in. It doesn't matter what you do. You can change your mind at any time. Just stay in the real estate realm.
I love that message. Very powerful message. And thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for giving me this time and sharing your story. I'll be honest with you. It sounds like there's still a lot more to unravel. Would you be okay if maybe we do a follow-up with you in the future, just to see how where you're at and in the next few months, maybe a year?
Absolutely. You better still be with PropStream.
I'm hopefully so. Yeah, unless they don't want me around. But no, definitely. I'll make sure we reach out to you. And then for anybody listening to this episode or watching this later on, how can people get a hold of you to learn more about your story or to connect with you? Maybe they, have a deal in your market, or they just want to learn more how to get into real estate. What would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
All of my social media handles is Real A State, so Real AY State, and it's literally on everything. Real AY State.
I like that. That's awesome. Um, yeah, that's it. Any last words for our audience?
I feel like I'm gonna have like the most cliche phrase, but it's like, do it scared. I know mistakes in real estate are expensive, but Chat GPT and Google is everywhere. You can Google the pros and cons. I recommend everyone get in real estate, even if you're a transaction coordinator, get into real estate. And it's like, I'm not making any money from it. Do a personality test, get in where you fit in. There's an avenue for everyone in real estate. I recommend. I don't care if you're working at a title company, transaction coordinator, if you want to be a general contractor, do something in real estate and build relationships with everyone.
Great message. And you're absolutely right. There's so many lanes in real estate investing. And I call every single one of them a professional in their in their cause. So Miss Ayla Melendez, you are amazing for being here today. Thank you for giving me your time. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And ladies and gentlemen that are watching this, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Real Estate Pro. Make sure to tune in to our next episode. But until next time, have a wonderful day.